Hey guys, welcome back to Your Mindset, Your Power. Today we're beginning something really special, a brand new 3-part relationship series designed to meet you exactly where you are. Maybe you're single and dipping your toes into dating. Maybe you're returning after a long time. Maybe you are in a relationship and trying to understand where it's going. Maybe it's complicated. Or maybe the relationship you're trying to make sense of the most is the one you have with yourself. Wherever you are, my friend, this series will meet you there. And today, we're starting at the beginning. The part that brings excitement, frustration, hope, fear, and confusion all at once. Dating, searching for love, and trying to choose well without losing yourself. Because dating today, it can feel like walking into a giant restaurant with no menu. There's noise everywhere. Everyone looks like they know what they're doing. You don't know where to sit, what to pick, or if you're going to regret your order. So you stand there pretending you're fine, but secretly, you're starving for clarity. The pressure, the overthinking, the comparison, the ghosting, the mixed signals, the situationships, not a hookup, not a one-night stand, but that confusing space where you act like a couple without the commitment. And if you have been wondering why love feels so complicated today, you're about to understand it in a whole new way, my friend. So let's begin. But before we talk about dating itself, I want to speak to a very special group of people. The people who haven't really dated yet. Maybe you're in your 20s or older. Maybe you have never had a serious relationship, never had a real date, or the experiences you have had were so small they barely count. And then you feel inexperienced, embarrassed, left out, insecure, afraid everyone else smiles ahead of you. And while people around you seem to have stories, you're over there thinking, I don't even know how to start. So listen, guys, this part is especially for you because I want you to hear me clearly. You're not behind. You're on your own timeline. And starting later doesn't mean you're late. It means you're intentional. Some people date early and never grow. Some date later and have more emotional intelligence than half the world. Starting later is not a flaw, my friend. It's a sign you didn't force something before you were ready. And here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from before dating. Confidence grows because you start. Nobody knows what they're doing at first. We all learn through awkward conversations, butterflies, mistakes, tiny heartbreaks, and trying again and again. Dating is like learning to swim. You only learn once you get in the water. And if you're scared of being inexperienced, let me tell you, the right person will never shame you. They will feel honored to be part of your first real chapter. So you don't need to pretend. You don't need to perform. You don't need to catch up. You just need to start. You're not late, my friend. You're starting your story at a different chapter. And that chapter is still beautiful and meaningful. Now, let's talk about what makes dating today feel so complicated. Dating can feel hard, not because of you, but because the world you're dating in has changed. You can meet hundreds of people with one swipe and still feel disconnected, right? Someone can text you all week and then disappear the moment things become real. And your brain wasn't built for endless options, quick rejections, constant comparison. or emotional uncertainty. No, my friend. Dating apps can feel like a 200 flavor ice cream shop. So many choices that you end up overwhelmed instead of excited. It's a lot, even for the strongest person. But here's what I want you to hold on to. Hard does not mean hopeless. That hard does not mean impossible. Hard does not mean you're failing. It simply means the landscape is different. And online dating is not good or bad. No, it's just one of the ways people meet now. Some people have found their person there. Others feel burnt out, and many feel both. And that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just navigating a world that moves faster than most hearts are built for. And listen, if apps are not your thing, real organic connection still exists. Yes, my friend, people meet through friends, clubs, work, hobbies, gyms, classes, volunteering, coffee shops, anywhere real life happens. And the biggest factor is not luck, it's presence. Being approachable, making eye contact, smiling, looking up from your phone, being open enough to that someone feels safe to say hi to you, and you're confident enough to say hi back. You don't have to be extroverted. You just have to be available to the moment. Because sometimes the connection you're hoping for doesn't come from a swipe, but from showing up fully in your own life. Yes. And listen, understanding the dating world is just one part of the puzzle. The next part is understanding connection itself and the stages every relationship moves through. And here's a relationship expert I really deeply respect and I love, Matthew Hussey. And he teaches a framework called the 4 levels of a relationship. I'm going to explain them. Once you understand these levels, dating becomes so much easier to navigate because most dating pain comes from not knowing what level you're in and what level the other person is in. So let's walk through them. Level 1 is admiration. Is that first spark, the moment someone catches your attention, right? It might just be their smiles, their presence, their eyes, their energy, their confidence. Admiration is attraction mixed with curiosity. Is that moment where you think, who is that person? And here's the important part. Level 1 tells you nothing about who someone truly is. It doesn't tell you their values. It doesn't tell you their emotional readiness. It doesn't tell you how they treat people, handle conflict, or show up in a relationship. No, admiration it's like loving the cover of a book before reading the first page. It's fun. Yes, it's fun. It's interesting, of course. But it's just the beginning of the story, not the whole story. So let's go to level 2, mutual attraction. This is when the spark becomes mutual. You like them, they like you back, you talk for hours, you laugh, there's a strong physical attraction, you feel desired, you feel that excitement that this could be something, right? And because it feels good, we often assume it is good. But here's where people get confused and stuck. And that's just why level 2 is the most dangerous level, because it feels like a relationship without actually being one. Chemistry can blur judgment. It activates excitement, anticipation, and dopamine, making everything feels amplified. right? Chemistry creates possibility in your mind long before you truly know the person. That's why chemistry alone can make red flags look harmless or make someone feel like the one too soon. It kind of makes you a little blind, right? Level 2 gives you the feeling, but it doesn't guarantee the choice, my friend. Some people want closeness without responsibility. Be aware of that. Some want connection without commitment. And some love the spark, but avoid the depth. So remember, level 2 feels like a relationship, but it's not a relationship. It's connection, not clarity. And before we even talk about level 3, there is something very important that I want you to remember. You can't ask someone else for clarity until you have given it to yourself. So it is very important that you ask yourself, what am I looking for? What pace feels right for me? What am I willing to accept and not accept? Right? If you're not clear internally, it's easy to tolerate mixed signals and block red flags, right? And you can even stay in level 2, hoping it will magically become something more. Clarity starts with you, my friend. And once you're clear with yourself, you're finally ready for level 3. Let's go there. Level 3 is commitment. It's what most people think level 2 is. That's why it's very dangerous, right? This is where you move from wondering to knowing. Commitment here doesn't necessarily mean marriage. It simply means clarity, consistency, exclusivity, emotional availability. We're dating each other on purpose, right? So level 3 is where the relationship becomes defined. Is the moment both people say, yes, I really want this. I'm committed to this. But you know what? The biggest heartbreak happens when you confuse level 2 with level 3. When you assume commitment from chemistry alone, or treat someone like a partner before anything has been clearly established. That's why communication is so important. We will go much deeper into level 3 in the next episode, including the conversations that help you know whether someone is truly ready for commitment or not. For now, just remember, level 2 is connection. Level 3 is clarity, right? And level 4, compatibility. Level 4 is where the real relationship happens. Compatibility is not about being the same. No, it's about being aligned in the things that matter, like values, vision, lifestyles, the emotional needs, communication, goals, how you show and receive love. They're all aligned. Chemistry gets you interested, right? Commitment gets you started, but compatibility determines whether the relationship can actually last. This is where you find out if your lives fit together in a healthy, sustainable way. Not perfectly, no, but realistically. Most people never reach this level. Why? Because they confuse chemistry or commitment with long-term compatibility. We will talk about more about this also in episode 2. Compatibility is not a magic, my friend. It's not magic. It's alignment. Now that we have talked about these levels, here's the mistake that breaks more hearts than anything else. Pay attention to this. It's very important. Falling in love with potential instead of patterns. Potential is who someone could be someday. Patterns are who they are right now. And sometimes deep down, we see the patterns. We just don't want to accept them. We just simply ignore them. We hold on the version of someone we imagine instead of the person standing in front of us. Someone that can be, someday, right? And the right person won't make you guess what you mean to them. They won't keep you confused and anxious or trying to decode mixed messages. When someone is genuinely interested, you feel it in their consistency, in their communication, in their plans they make and keep. When someone wants you in their lives, you don't have to chase clarity. No, their actions are the clarity. Now, potential? Potential is seductive because it lets you fall in love with a future that doesn't exist yet. But patterns show you the present. And the present is the truth, my friend. Potential whispers, maybe someday. Patterns say, this is who you are. So, my friend, pay close attention to the patterns. Don't ignore them. Don't build a relationship on imagination. Build it on evidence, because the right person shows you who they are through what they do. Patterns tells the story. Potential is just a trailer. All right, so now let's take a moment to bring all this together. Today we learned that we are not behind, that you are not behind if you haven't dated yet. You are simply starting at your own rhythm. You learn why dating feels overwhelming, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the environment is louder than and faster than your heart was designed for. You learn the 4 levels of connection: admiration, attraction, commitment, and compatibility, and how most dating pain comes from confusing one level for another. And you learn the difference between falling in love with someone's potential and paying attention to their patterns. Clarity is power, and you're starting to see the dating world through a whole new lens, my friend. Your story is moving at the rhythm it's meant to. Your standards are not obstacles, they're guides. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more real, something more steady, and something that feels safe. There's nothing wrong with wanting depth, nothing wrong with taking your time, nothing wrong with waiting for a connection that aligns with who you're becoming. Your pace is not a problem. Your pace is your protection. And the love you're hoping for, it doesn't need you to rush. It needs you to stay true to yourself. And next week, we continue this series with episode 2, where we're shifting from the excitement of early connection to the real work of building a healthy, lasting relationship. We're also going to talk about what happens once the spark settles, whether you're in a newer relationship, a long-term partnership, or married. How to stay connected when routine enters the picture. How to communicate without defensiveness. How to repair after conflict instead of letting distance grow. And how to keep the flame alive, the passion, the desire, as your relationship evolves. Episode 2 is where love becomes a practice, not just a feeling. So let's take a deep breath. And because you are not just searching for love here, you're preparing for it. And listen, guys, if this episode spoke to you, share with someone who might need this reminder on their own journey to love. I can't wait for part 2 next week. It's going to be so powerful. Have an amazing week, my dear friend.